Hello, everybody, and welcome to your first bonus episode of Sunday Service with me, your host, Aaron Chandler. I'm back. So I'm recording a bonus episode this week, just like I promised. I'm a man of my word sometimes when it's convenient to me and when it stands for my own benefit. I'm a man of my word. I said I'd record a bonus episode this week because episode 7 was quite short. Because I had a social commitment because, popular guy. People like to spend time with me. People like to spend as much of their free time with me as they possibly can. I'm likable. What can I say? Good conversationalist, good to have around. Wasn't always. Used to be a loser, No one wanted to talk to me. And then, you know what I did? I stopped being a fucking weirdo. That's what I did. That's what our last episode was about, if you guys remember that. And I'm not even a good person now. I'm not even normal. I'm not even particularly likable. But I'm orbiting all of those things at a close enough distance that people will tolerate me, which is all you need, Like the bar for how pleasant a person you have to be for people to put up with you is so incredibly low that it's actually kind of mad that there are people without friends. Like, what are you actually doing to be alienating this many people? You know what I mean? I shouldn't make fun of those people. Those people will inevitably be my supporters. So, you know what? Great job, guys. Great job. Who needs people, right? Fuck them. I don't want to just reiterate all the same topics from last week again, though. Or not last week, a couple of days ago, because it's a bonus episode and there will be another one on Sunday. So yeah, let's get things going. How's your week going so far, guys? Right? How's it all going? We just came out of here in Ireland. We just came out of the most degenerate week of the year, and I came out unscathed. So last week Monday was the start of Cheltenham, the big horse racing event in England. A huge sports betting thing over here. You know what I mean? You bop on down to Paddy Power, maybe Ladbrokes. Put the fucking mortgage on the ponies. Fucking California Dream. Put the house on her, lose it all, start from scratch. Huh? That's the way our week went. So obviously financially, Monday to Friday weren't great. 5-day tournament at Cheltenham. You lose it all on one race. You try to win it back on the next. You do win it back on the next. Then you say, fuck it, why not? Let's ball out again. Put it on another race. Lose everything again. Have a little bit left over. Take a risk. Make a little bit back. Not enough. Put another bet down. Make a little bit more back, thinking, now I'm getting in a roll. You put another few bets on. Now you diversify your bets. You go, all right, look, we can't take too many risks here. We got to just diversify the bets. At least we'll win on something. No, you don't win on something. You lose everything again. And then you ask for a loan, from, one of your buddies maybe. You put that all on another horse. He wins. You don't even take the each way bet. You go fucking all in. You go all out. You get what you want. You get your money. You're fucking riding high again. It's the last day at Cheltenham. What the hell? There's one last race left. Put it all on fucking Velvet Thunder. He breaks his leg. That's how sports betting goes. So as you can imagine, I was in financial ruin after that. Now, actually, to be fair, I'm not a big gambler. I try to avoid gambling as much as possible, and I actually didn't. But it can be a little bit fun. So actually, this past week for Cheltenham, I put 2 bets down. One on the Monday and one on the Friday, and I think I made like €90 on the first bet, and then I lost 50 on the second. So I guess €40 profit overall, right? So now I'm addicted. No, but I fear becoming a gambling addict, because I'm like, gambling is like an addiction for people who think they're smart, and I think I'm smart. Like, I think I have a brain, that's what casinos that's why casinos have like the perfect setup, right? Because, you go to a casino and then there's all the slot machines, there's the roulette tables, there's like, what are the other games, like the slot machines, the roulette tables, fucking, you know, you got the big spinny wheel thing you can do. Now I'm just referring to the GTA Online casino. But you got your like random chance gambles at the casino there, right? And like those appeal to a broad spectrum of people, you know? Like, you know, you just take a chance, see what we get. Does it work? No. Does it not work? No. Didn't say that sentence properly at all. It's fine. It's a bonus episode. I don't usually record on this day. You know, take what you can get. You know, at least I look good. You know, rocking this jacket, very stylish. You know, do I have a pimple? Yeah, that's fine. You know, my skin's not the best. My skin's not the best. Hey, is it even good? No, but I make up for it in other areas. You know, like I'm wealthy? Not really. Not yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. But you go to the casino, right? And most of the riffraff who go to casinos, they're fucking idiots, right? So they'll just like, you know, they'll pull the lever on the fucking roulette or on the spinny slot machine thing, and you know, they'll sit there all day and that'll entertain them. And then there's these other people. Then there's all the people, you know, who have a bit of an ego. You think, you know what, I'm too smart for that. You know, I'm too smart to fall for the slot machine racket, you know, like you're not gonna, I know the house always wins. You're not gonna get me. You're not gonna get me. And then what the casino did is they were like, you know, you're smarter than them, but you're still a fucking idiot, right? Because people are stupid, you know? And if you just appeal to their ego even slightly, you can trick almost any of them. So what the casinos did is they go, okay, well, here's a game. It's a card game, right? Now, yeah, that requires skill to play. So, you know, if you win that, oh, it's not all about random chance. No, it's about your skill. It's about whether you're good or not. You know what I mean? And you're playing against other people, so it's down to their skill as well. And then all those people who were, you know, judging those guys going to the slot machines, they're fucking, you know, they're having a laugh. Now they're thinking, house always wins my fucking ass, by. You know, let me rock on down to Ladbrokes, see what I can do. You know, little do they know, house is still always winning, you know. Casino takes a little bit out of every pot. And even then, down to the random chance, the dealer wins a good portion of the time. So either way, they're set, you know. And then you're there, you're thinking you're outsmarting the system. You're playing like this advanced high-level game. Meanwhile, you're there for hours longer than anyone on the slot machines there. Because with the slot machines, you just go in, give it a couple pumps, and then you leave when you're broke. You know, you're there for 13 plus hours playing 10 different poker games. You still leave broke. But you're like, but no, my portfolio, you know, I'm actually, you know, if you look at it on the scale of the month, I'm up $130. And it's like, who's really winning? You know, who's really winning? You know, but yeah, no, you're smart. You're a smart guy, you know, you're an intelligent human being. You've got it all figured out, right? Yeah, I'm sure you do. So that's why I try to avoid gambling, because that's the type of guy I would be. You know, I'd be there at the blackjack table going, fucking, I can count cards. You know what I mean? I can count cards, but then, you know, the casinos use 6 decks. So then what are you going to do, right? So then you're just going to sit there for 12 hours. You finally fucking count the cards properly. You make a big bet. You win. The casino tell you to leave and never come back. Foolish endeavors, you know, but I love it. You know, I think next year for the Cheltenham, I might have to go all in, because it, like, the thing about sports betting is obviously it's financially irresponsible. But it's fun, you know, and there's not a lot of things that adults do together that are fun. You know, like we go like, you know, when you're an adult, like you go like to dinner parties and it's like, that's fucking boring, you know? And then like, I mean, if you're more like working class, like I am, well, not working class, like lower middle class, let's say. What people do is they go like, oh, after work, we should all just get really drunk and have beers. And it's like, you can only do that like 5 times in your life before it's just horrible. You know, before it's just complete diminishing returns, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, let's go out after work, all have beards. You two are going to cheat on your partners. We're all going to watch, feel vaguely uncomfortable. I'm going to try to get with girls on the dance floor. It's not going to work. I'm going to feel shitty about myself, go to the gym for a few weeks, give up when I realize that, like, actually, you know, it's kind of fine. Those girls didn't matter anyway. And I'm more of a personality than a looker anyway, you know what I mean? One of the co-workers is going to do cocaine. We're all going to get worried about him. We're going to have to get him home. Someone's going to puke on something. Nobody's going to be happy. We're all going to come out of this with deep resentments, except for like 2 or 3 people who weirdly have like a really strong bond developed after this whole night out. They're probably fucking now. and then what? You know what I mean? To what end? You know, you do it all again the next day, right? You don't even really have fun, you know? You're just having a fairly boring conversations with people who you don't really get along with, but you know, they're just in your everyday life all the time. And yeah, you kind of you entertain them a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's the alcohol that's making this whole thing interesting, you know, it's making it all bearable. And then what? You know, the alcohol slowly erodes your body, you die young. That doesn't matter, you know? Who wants to be old anyway? You know what I mean? Who wants to sit in a fucking retirement home for fucking 15 years, right? You know, slowly getting dementia, you know, fucking the old grannies across from you because your wife's dead. Right? Because, yeah, I mean, that's what they do. You know what I mean? The nursing homes, you know, they have a higher STI incidence than most colleges. That's a fact. I don't know if it's a fact, but it's a statement I made based on a fact I once heard, which is basically good enough, right? You know, it's a muddled fact, which are the best kind of facts, because then you can make them whatever you want them to be, and then you win. You know, because for some reason we've decided that facts are how you win arguments, which doesn't really make any sense. Because facts are just there on their own, aren't they? Like a fact is nothing with an opinion about that fact. You know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean. So yeah. So then, sports betting. I think I'm being a bit loud here now that I'm holding the mic much closer, but that's okay. Like I'm looking at the levels, you know, like the guy in the chair. You know, I'm my own producer at the moment. I'm just looking at this shit going, all right, that seemed a bit high. You know what I mean? I can't wait to get a real producer, you know. Someone to type things in on Google just excessively quickly for me. You know what I mean? I'm doing a bit about this at the moment. Like, I won't spoil it. Come to my shows, huh? Or don't. You probably don't want to. You're no one. No one's listening. No one's listening to this podcast. It feels good to have the natural light on my face. You know? Shining on us. Showing us the glory of God. You know, it feels good. I feel great about today. Yeah, I've been having a good day, you know? So let's do a little timeline here. So we had Cheltenham there last week. The week before, as you might remember from a couple episodes ago, I was pretty devastated by my performance with regards to riding and being a productive member of society. Didn't redeem any of that during Cheltenham. Just went to the pub, drank, and had a laugh. And then did some sports betting with the boys, you know, like won a little bit of money. But overall, you know, probably could have spent the time a little bit better. This week, I locked in, you know. It's Wednesday now. I wrote a new 5 minutes yesterday. Is it good? I don't know. Haven't gone to an open mic yet to test it out. Probably really bad. Probably going to scrap most of it. But I made the effort. I did my best. And that's all you can really do in this world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to be a famous comedian, you know? It's just a hobby. You know what I mean? I'm not going to make money off this. It's just not realistic. And then even if I do, you know? To what end? Will that fill the void inside of me? No. I'm doing a bit about that as well. So yeah, I wrote a new 5 minutes yesterday. And I was like fucking thinking, all right, you know, this is pretty good. You know, maybe starting to get back on track. You know what I mean? And then today I wrote another new, let's say 3 to possibly 4 minutes, right? And that wasn't as good as the stuff I wrote yesterday, because the stuff I wrote yesterday I was cooking with it. But you know, it's good enough that I will try it out and see if it gets a laugh. So I'm feeling good about the week, productivity wise. You know, bought the rotisserie chicken today. Great move. You know, one of the few great lessons Andrew Tate's. One of the few great lessons Andrew Tate teaches is about rotisserie chickens. You know, he says a lot of things about women. Some of it, you know, is it right? No. Will it work? If you find the right girl, yeah. But generally not morally good advice, right? Not things you should be doing. Effective, possibly, you know, sometimes even likely, but, you know, in accordance with the grace of our Almighty God, definitely not. But one of the lessons that he used to preach was about these rotisserie chickens, right? And I'm a big, I'm a big foodie. But right now, you know, finances are tight, you know, after Cheltenham. You know, I may have misled you about how much I won versus how much I lost, and I may have actually lost a fortune. I'm not even looking at the camera these days, you know, I'm just riding the high of the beautiful sunlight. What was I talking about right there? yeah, Andrew Tate teaches a great lesson about rotisserie chicken, which is that it's a very financially efficient way to feed yourself for a couple of days, and it's very tasty because rotisserie chicken is very juicy, got all the juices inside. They don't overcook the chicken usually. The breast isn't dry. The legs and thighs are nice and tender, and it's a large chunk of meat. So what you could do is you go down to your local supermarket, whatever it may be, on this occasion it was Super Value, and I wouldn't normally shop at Super Value. I'm more of an Aldi kind of guy, but Aldi don't do rotisserie chickens, at least not the one, where I live. So I went down there, bought rotisserie chicken, bag of rolls, have stuffing and mayo at home. Come home, put on the gloves, use latex gloves in the kitchen because I'm a pretentious cock, and I don't want to get my hands all greasy because that's a pain in the ass. Butcher up the chicken, separate the two breasts, separate the thighs and legs. Yeah, make a nice chicken roll for myself. Put some mayo in it, salt and pepper. The drill. Stuffing, all the right things. Then put one bag with the chicken thighs into the fridge. Put the other two bags with both the chicken breasts into the freezer. Now I've got food for 4 days total. Nice bit of lunch there for me. You know what I mean? And I learned that lesson from Andrew Tate, of all people, So I guess he has done some good for the world, at least, He's satisfied my hunger. He satisfied my hunger, but not my lust, you know what I mean? And he probably never will satisfy my lust unless we, Andrew Tate, Mr. Tate, would you please take me out for dinner? I don't think that's going to happen, He doesn't even know he's gay yet, you know what I mean? He's still in that phase of being gay where he's just talking about how much he wants to have sex with women, No one talks about how much they want to have sex with women more than a guy who's secretly gay. And Andrew Tate talks about wanting to have sex with women more than any man on the planet. So I've drawn some logical associations there, you know what I mean? He could beat me up, so I probably shouldn't chat that shit. But I weirdly think I could win him over, I feel that way about a lot of like the bad people in the world, you know what I mean? Or not even the bad people, but like just people that are controversial. Like anyone that people don't like, I'm kind of like, I bet honestly I would get along with them. You know what I mean? Because I don't have any principles. You know what I mean? Like if I'm with someone, I just want to have the banter. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care what you're doing in your native country. Like, are we going to have crack here in this moment or not? You know what I mean? I'll let him talk about like his cam girl site. I'll just be like, wow, man, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, what am I going to do? Have an unpleasant conversation with someone? It's like, like the possible, Andrew Tate's made people. Andrew Tate's made a lot of people suffer. If I'm having a conversation with him and I'm not having a good time, I'm just increasing the amount of people he makes suffer at the end of the day. And is that what a good person would do? Would a good person let Andrew Tate make people suffer? No, they wouldn't. So I'd get along with him. I'd have banter with him. He'd say heinous stuff about women and I'd laugh because he's funny. He's a funny guy. You know what I mean? I used to think that like before all that stuff came out about like the sex crimes, and he just seemed like, a guy who talked about getting lots of women but definitely couldn't. Before all that happened, I used to think Andrew Tate was like the funniest person ever. Because here's the thing about comedians, right? Is comedians say a lot of crazy things. But most of them are just doing it for comic effect. They don't actually mean it, right? They're just saying something a bit mad. They make a little bit of a joke about things. They're being a bit hyperbolic. Just for the attention, They're fucking whores, right? They've got no, how would you call it? They got no dignity in their souls, right? Like it's all just because their mommy and daddy didn't tell them they love him enough, But Andrew Tate, he used to say all this crazy stuff, and he just believed it. That's so funny. Like, because he could say things with a conviction that a comedian saying the exact same thing could never say it with. And that just made it all the more comedically viable, And he was thinking things that a comedian could never think of because he actually thought those things, Like he actually thought that like the best way to live your life was to have a harem of women around you 24/7 doing your laundry and making you food. That doesn't sound too bad actually, but obviously he's unsustainable economically, right? he actually thought that. So when he'd argue for it, he'd argue for it with true intent, and it would just be the funniest thing you could ever listen to in your life. You're sitting there like, wow, this guy's so crazy. So I for a while there, I thought, Andrew Tate was like a new breed of person. I thought people liked Tate because a guy like Tate couldn't exist before the internet, right? Because if he tried to get on TV, they'd arrest him, But the internet lets anyone talk to anyone whenever, all the time. And I thought he represented a new breed of human that the internet was bringing about, which was people who actually believed crazy stuff finally having their voice. I think in a way he did, but it ended up being a lot darker than it was funny. Which is a bit unfortunate, And I'm not even talking about Andrew Tate there. I'm talking about like the people like who are like, they're just like, like their views on the Holocaust don't align with, let's call it, the prevalent narrative. Those types of people. They're becoming like prevalent enough. And you're just like, oh, that's a little bit scary, I guess, actually. Not Kanye. I support him. Because I think I've said this before. Like, I definitely have said this before, but like, if that came up in my algorithm, I'd believe it too. And so I feel bad for Kanye in a way. We're retreading a lot of ground here today that we've already tread on this podcast. You know what I mean? Am I starting to run out of things to talk about? The thing is, right, is for the last episode that we did there, the 40-minute one, I had a list of topics I wanted to talk about. Didn't talk about any of them. Went off the rails a little bit, talked about what I wanted to talk about. It was a good episode, actually. Short and sweet. Got to the point. Didn't waste anyone's time. Was it a good episode? I haven't listened back to it. I've never listened back to one of these episodes. I don't know what I say in them. I guess I better start doing that at some point so that I can get like clips or something, grow the popularity. You know what I mean? But I don't want to hear the sound of my own voice. Like I listened to a few like seconds of each one just to see the audio quality and things like that. And then I've made the adjustment of having the microphone near my face. You know what I mean? Do a fist from the mic, Joe Rogan style. But aside from that, like to be honest, guys, I wouldn't listen to this shit. You know what I mean? So I don't know why you are, right? You're not. I forgot about that. I forgot that no one listens to this show. So we went a little bit off the rails there. What was I talking about, right? I was talking about how Andrew Tate was really funny. The reason I was talking about the fact that Andrew Tate was really funny, God knows why. The rotisserie chicken, which was me bringing up so I made the rotisserie chicken, which means I've kind of not done meal prep for the week, but I've foreseen what I'm going to be eating for this week, which means I'll be spending less money, which is good because financially I'm in ruins. But yeah, that's where we're at this week. We're more productive. We've gone from bottom of the barrel of our productivity 2 weeks ago, Cheltenham last week, productive this week. So that's good. And back to the original story about the most degenerate week in Ireland. Yeah, we're looping all the way back around to that now, 23 minutes in. The other big holiday, the other big thing, the other big event that was going on in Ireland this past week was St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick was the patron saint of Ireland. He legendarily, supposedly, kicked all of the snakes out of Ireland. And you know what, hon? I know a few snakes that he left behind, huh? But that's the story about St. Patrick, is he came to Ireland, shielded us from those dirty pagan views we used to hold so dear, and eventually got us on the right track, believing in the Lord our God, Jesus Christ. But, with a bit of pagan inspiration in there, just to make the transition a little bit more easy. And then he was just like, snakes, they're dirty fucking creatures. They killed Eve. No, they didn't. They offered Eve food, I guess. And then because she... so the snake, who was actually Satan himself, the Archangel of Light, former Archangel of Light, now fallen, he turned himself into a snake at the beginning of time. And then he offered Eve a fruit. We don't know if it's an apple. Typically depicted as an apple. He offered her a fruit from a tree, which may be, based on modern interpretations, the fruit could be possibly a fruit emoji, which would indicate that his temptation was more of a sexual nature. Maybe the fruit he was offering were his snake balls. But either way, Lucifer, the Archangel of Light, former Archangel of Light, fallen from heaven, war with God. He was all like, "Oh, humans suck," or well, it was more kind of like this. It was more kind of like Lucifer's the older brother, right? You know, he's God's first, most perfect creation. You know, the favorite child, and now he's got a younger brother, humanity, and he doesn't like that they're getting attention. You know, because among the angels, Lucifer was on top. You know, no one was chatting shit to the Archangel of Light and Wisdom. You know, they knew their fucking place. You know, so he was easily the favorite child, and then all of a sudden God is creating this humanity thing. Lucifer, he's fallen down the favoritism ranks. You know, he's not getting as much attention paid to him, so he's just like, all right, fuck it. You know, if God's not going to pay attention to me, fuck these guys. All right, you know what I mean? Oh, you like my little brother? What if my little brother wasn't as cute and innocent as you thought he was, God? You know, so he goes to Eve there, the wife of Adam, and he's like, hey, do you want to suck my snake penis or eat an apple? One of those two things, right? And then Eve, because you know she's the naive little sibling of God's children. This isn't incestuous. Not yet, I don't think, right? She's like, yeah, sure, why not? You know? And then she eats the apple, and then he comes in her mouth, and then she realizes like how gross everything is, because there's cum in her mouth, and she's like, ew, this is gross. And then she looks around at the world, and she's like, wow, the world is gross, actually. And then she's like, oh shit, I'm naked. And then Lucifer's like, hey, yeah. And then she's like, oh man, the world is actually really kind of horrible. And then Lucifer's like, that's what I've been saying, you know, God thinks he's perfect, but you know, maybe I'm perfect actually. And then Eve, you know, goes to her husband Adam, which Lucifer's just like, what the fuck? I thought we were kind of getting somewhere. And she's like, hey man, we're naked. And Adam's like, what? And then she's like, do you want to eat this fruit? And then Adam's like, you're pretty, I'll eat the fruit. He eats the fruit, he looks around, he's like, oh fuck, we're naked. And then she's like, yeah. And then he's like, wanna fuck? And she's just like, I mean, the snake guy was way better looking, but I guess you're my husband. All right. Then they fuck, you know. God's in his office, right? You know, doing some paperwork, you know, wrapping up, finalizing all of the final edits on that whole dinosaur thing he'd been doing. You know, he was just wrapping that little plot line up, you know, in a nice little bow before he gets onto this humanity thing. He's in his office, you know, working away. All of a sudden, in the background, he's just hearing pasta getting tossed, you know? He's like, what's going on? Walks into the Garden of Eden, sees Adam and Eve clapping cheeks. She's on top, right? Because Adam's a little bitch, you know? Adam, don't get me started on Adam. And I don't mean that, because look, I mean, hey, I don't want to get sexual with this podcast, but I don't mean that, like, you know, the woman being on top is a bad thing. It's actually great sometimes, but I mean that Adam is kind of more a lazy lover. You know what I mean? He's not incompetent, but uninterested and you know, unsatisfactory. You know what I mean? Like it's not a scenario of she's on top because they've decided to, you know, that they mutually decided on that. It's a scenario of she's on top because he's too lazy. That's kind of what I'm aiming for there with that joke, right? And now that I've cleared that up, let's get back to the story. The story of Genesis. So they're having sex, and God walks in and he's like, what the fuck, this is disgusting, right? Because God's never had sex, he's a virgin. And he gets really upset, you know, and he's like, who did this? And then Adam, wimpy little bitch that he is, he's like, she did it! After she just had sex with him. No respect for his lady, you know? No stepping to her defense. No standing up for his girl. No plausible deniability. No, we're in this together. He immediately throws her under the bus, you know? And God's like, oh, she did it, did she? And he's like, yeah, she was with the snake in the garden. You should get rid of her. And then God's like, get rid of her? I made her for you. Defend her. Defend your woman. You're a bitch. And then he turns to Eve and he goes, but did you do it? And she's like, yeah. And then he was like, why? And then she goes, the snake told me to. And then God was like, well, if the snake told you to jump off a roof, would you do that? And then she was like, what's a roof? And then he's like, never mind. Look, you weren't supposed to do that. I told you not to. And then she was like, but the snake said I should. And then he was like, who are you going to trust? A snake or the almighty God of creation? And then she was like, I don't know. I was born like 3 days ago and I'm already fully grown. I don't understand what's happening. And then God got really mad, kicked him out of the garden, went to find the snake. Snake is gone. He's like, what the fuck is a snake? You know, I didn't invent anything called a snake, you know? And then, he's standing around, he's in the garden, he's looking back and forth like it's a fucking sitcom. And then he's like, Lucifer. And then Lucifer comes out of the woods. You know, he's an angel again, but then like there's a little snakeskin falling off him. And then he's like, what? And then boom, 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 boom. Cuts to, laugh track, cuts to commercial, right? Commercial break, 10,000 years later, God is like, all right, or well, what was it? Like 4 billion years later, 14 billion years later, 6,000 years, some amount of time after that, right? God has now gotten snakes going on a permanent basis, and either one of two things happen. Either because Ireland was an island nation, there were just never snakes there, which is the truth. Or a Frenchman came to the Emerald Isle and got rid of them all. How? No one knows. Was it genocide? Possibly. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at the sound levels again because I thought I stopped recording by accident like I did on that one episode, but I didn't because I'm awesome. So he gets rid of all these snakes somehow. First of all, what he does is he tells Irish people about snakes, and they're like, wow, that sounds horrible. And then he's like, yeah, do you guys not have them here? And they're like, no. And then he's just like, yeah, you do. Then he gets rid of them all. And then we were all like, oh, thank God you got rid of all those snakes that we just heard about. They would have been horrible. And he's like, yeah. And then I guess now we just are kind of going along with that narrative. And that's become our most popular holiday ever since. And like, I'm a good Christian, but I don't fully understand how that came to be, right? Now, Lucifer fucked Eve once, and now the Chicago River is green sometimes. I don't really know what's going on there. It's never been a holiday I've fully understood the significance of, despite being Irish, is what I'm kind of getting at with that whole story. And I was trying to eat into the time because this is a bonus episode, but I'm just realizing I don't have a lot of steam here to talk. And some of the episodes are going to be bad, I guess. I didn't really do a lot of prep. I didn't really look at the news this week. I don't really know what's going on in the world. I don't have anything that's kind of capturing my passions at the moment in terms of speaking. Let's sit up straight, This casual dissonance I've been giving towards this, your first bonus episode, is a bit disrespectful to you guys, the audience. So I'm gonna lock back in here, right? But anyway, now Irish people just get drunk all the time on the March 17th, and just in general, but on March 17th in particular, right? So I didn't go out for the Paddy's Day, is kind of is the whole story I was trying to get at there, because you never go out on the Paddy's Day because that's when the riffraff are out, Everyone goes out on Paddy's Day, and everyone includes all the riffraff and degenerates of mankind, and you don't want to run into them. You know what I mean? Paddy's Day is when people get into fights in the pub. It's when people smash glasses, when people get stabbed. It's when, undesirables are in your neighborhood. That's when all that kind of stuff happens. And not in your neighborhood, in the local pub, because no one's at home. Everyone's drinking. So you want to avoid going out on Paddy's Day because you might die. So I went out the day before Paddy's Day, which was a Sunday. Bad idea, because the Paddy's Day was on the Monday. Everyone was out on the Sunday. Still riffraff. So I tried to oh shit, did I don't know what I just did there. Hopefully it still sounds okay. Oh no, that's cool. Never mind. What was the point of this story? Is that I went out on Paddy Sunday. There was riffraff. I saw a few fights. It was fine. And then I was reminded of the degeneracy of all mankind and how we're this close to falling into the eternal abyss, and straying further and further from the light of our gracious God. And that inspired me to actually do some writing this week so that I don't waste my life. Now, was that a long walk? Yes. Was the drink of water short? Yes. Is that okay? No. But again, didn't go into this episode with a game plan. Kind of thought I'd just kind of wing it and that it would go really well like the last one. Was incorrect. Is this entertaining? Maybe. Will I ever listen back to it to find out? No. Someone will let me know at some point eventually. So what else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah. Did you guys see that Nintendo just announced the Switch 2? That's pretty interesting, right? I think that's like Nintendo greatest comeback in history right there. You know what I mean? Like, because they were like, that's a proper Viva La Vida story, Nintendo. You know what I mean? Because like there was a time where they were untouchable. You know what I mean? Like, back in the days, the PlayStation came out. No one gave a fuck, right? Everyone was all about that GameCube or NSES or whatever it was called. I don't really know the history of it. I wasn't born then. I'm young. But no one gave a fuck about the PlayStation. It was all about that Nintendo game system, right? Then the Xbox came out. No one gave a fuck about that. The Wii was coming, They were cooking up all sorts. They had handhelds, they had the Game Boy, they did the SD, they had everything. They had all the good games. They had Mario. They had Mario Kart. They had 3D Mario. They had everything, right? They had Pokemon, Sonic, Mario again. Nintendo ruled the world. And then they decided to make this console called the Wii U. Now, you may never have heard of that because no one bought it. People bought the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox One. No, people bought the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One instead. He knows the local history, right? And Nintendo fell off the map for like a decade there. No one remembered them. Everyone forgot about them. Who's Mario? No one knows. Doesn't make any sense. Who's Pokemon? No one knows. Doesn't make any sense. They ended the Sinnoh region. They went on to this Unova region. People were just like, who's Dawn? She's not as... you all know what I was going to say there, and then, but I'm not going to. Because they're children. I forgot in the show that they're kids. So Nintendo fell off the map completely. That was a really that pause was a bit too pregnant. You know what I mean? And now that's going to be a clip, I guess. Not from me, but from the powers that be, from the meme community, right? That'll be one of these things in a few years people look back at and they go, Jesus Christ, what was going on with him? So they made the Nintendo Wii U. It wasn't as good as the Wii because all the things that people liked about the Wii, like the motion controls and like the fun boxing thing, they got rid of all of that and they were like, let's make it an iPad, but with motion controls. And then that didn't work because that obviously is the worst idea ever. No one bought it. For 10 years, everyone forgot who Nintendo was. Then one day they locked back in. They locked back in and they redeemed themselves. Like Omni-Man. Destroyed Chicago, destroyed their stock prices, kicked it into third gear, got it all back on track, right? Escaped the filter prison, got their friend. I'm a nerd, a little bit, not so much a nerd, but more of like a bit of a, how like, when like black guys are into anime and it's cool. I don't know if that was okay to say, but I said it. This is a bonus episode. We're going off the rails. That's the kind of person I am. Not so much cool with it, but like I'm into dorky stuff, and people are kind of like, it's fine. He has a few pints. He's banter, right? Like that's kind of that's not who I am, but it's what I'm aiming to be. So yeah, look, I know who Alan the Alien is. I know who Omni-Man is. I know what the Nintendo Switch is. Is a Nintendo Switch a great console? Yes, because it's portable, but also the games on it are kind of fire. You know what I mean? You got that Legend of Zelda game. You got Mario Odyssey. You got all the games from the Nintendo Wii U that were bad that they just re-released. Or sorry, all the Nintendo Wii U games that were good, but no one played them because the Nintendo Wii U was bad. They just re-released those on the Switch. Guess what? Everyone loves them now. Mario Kart 8. New Super Mario Bros. Wii U. I'm a big Mario guy. Mario Maker, they brought it all back. Oh, fuck. Oh, no, I stopped the recording on the laptop. Okay, I stopped the recording on the laptop. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have to stitch that together. You missed a couple seconds there. If you want to know the 3 seconds of content you missed, you're going to have to go on to the YouTube version, right? Okay, good enough. That's all you're getting today. Sorry about that. I fucking knew that would happen again. I fucking knew it. I'm such a piece of garbage, right? And now I'm kind of... They announced the Switch 2, and basically I just think that's cool. I didn't really have an aim with that story. I didn't know where I was going with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where this episode is going. You know what I mean? I'm going to do a lot of research for tomorrow's episode. I'll tell you that for free. Because usually what happens with these episodes, for like the first 15 minutes, I'm kind of like losing the run on myself a bit. I don't know where I'm going with it. And then like around minute 20, I'll lock the fuck in. And everything will just work out fine for me. And I haven't been doing that in this episode, just because last week's episode I locked in from the get-go. It was cinema. So okay, this has been 40 minutes. It's a bonus episode. The episode 7 was 40 minutes. You know what I mean? I think I can talk a bit longer. Like, what kind of topics should I talk about? Right? That rotisserie chicken. That was interesting, kind of. Maybe I'll just scrap this whole episode and you can go fuck yourselves at your bonus episode. I don't owe you people anything. I made a promise though. You gotta keep your word. Gotta be a man of your word at the end of the day. Like the Joker in the dark. No, not like the Joker. Like Maximus Decimus Meridius. Yeah, I reference movies, That wasn't a joke, it was just a reference. But, American people would find that very funny that I just said the name of a movie character, because that's the type of thing they go for, right? They're not very complex in their sense of humor, but they're nice people, right? I love Americans because they're so easily impressed, Like, a lot of Irish people, because the Americans come over here on tour a lot because they got some of them got some Irish blood in them, a lot less than they think, but, well, I mean, probably about as much as they think, but we don't care, because they left. It's like, hey, you left, like, why are you back? You know what I mean? We've moved on. And it's like, no, it's not like, why are you back? Come back all you want. It's fine, but we have moved on. Just accept that fact. You're not, like, when you get back, we're not just going to be like, where have you been? Because the people from here who knew you are dead. And the people from here who you were related to are dead. So we're not friends. Like, we're just people on the planet. And a lot of Irish people complain about that, like they complain about the American people coming over and being like, yeah, my great uncle was the king of Munster, that type of shit. And I think it's fine, actually. I kind of think it's cute a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's charming, because they don't know that they're dumb, So like it's kind of like when a kid is dumb. Like American people are like little kids, It's like how can you hold it against them? Like they don't know what the world is like, and why should they? They're the most powerful country. You know why we know who they are? Is because they're the most powerful. That's why they don't know who we are, because we're irrelevant to them. Because we don't have nuclear weapons. We're just here farming, having the crack. 800 years of repression, 800 years on the session. I heard that in a TikTok this week. It was so funny. Can't remember who said it, but that's what we've been doing. Why would they know us? They've been building rocket ships to the moon. We know them, of course we do, And, God bless them if they want to come back and reconnect with their heritage. It's cute. It's fine. And what I love about them is, I don't know if you notice, but they're easily impressed. Because you can tell them anything. You can just tell them anything, and in your Irish accent, they'll listen to it, and they'll be like, oh, man, that's so great. Yeah, really? My friend, actually, I have a friend. He tells this story. I don't know if it's true. But it's one of these things, I want it to be true, so it is, right? That's how I basically judge whether or not my friend's stories are true. It's like, oh, that would be cool. I just go, oh, that would be cool if that happened, Oh, yeah, it did. And then other times it's just like, they say something, I'm just like, fuck you, I don't like you, that's not true. Even if it is interesting, it's too interesting for it to have happened to you, so you're making it up. Yeah, boom. That's how you should judge people's stories, right? He tells this story that he went to, because he lived in America for about 4 months once, right? He used to work with me at my last job. And when he came back from America, he was just talking about how gullible they all were. And he told me that he went to a bar in America, or he worked in a bar in America, right? And he was working there, and the locals would come in to him and ask questions. And he told me that he managed to convince this local couple that we didn't have Wednesdays in Ireland. They believed him. Of course they did. They're so cute. I love them. I love them so much. He went in there and he was just like, they're talking to him. Like, it's genius how he did it. They're talking to him, and he goes, they're just asking him how he's finding America, and he's like, oh yeah, it's great. It's just, I know, like, I'm having trouble getting used to the calendar. And they're just like, what? Why? What's different about the calendars? You mean like the time zones? He's like, yeah, no, the time zone's tough too, but like I know Wednesdays are just very weird to me. And they're just like, what? And he's like, oh, like, you see, in Ireland, like, we have this old calendar, so there's actually only 6 days in the week, so we don't have Wednesday. Genius, by the way. If someone from like Spain said that to me about Spain, I'd believe them. Like, just so you know, I'm not very smart either. But he convinced them totally and wholeheartedly that Wednesdays didn't exist in Ireland. And they didn't come up with any follow-up questions, They never asked him, like, oh, well, how does, like, the calendar work? Like, how does, how do you know when the new year is? How many weeks are there in a year? Like 352 divided by 6, I guess that's probably a easier, no, not an easier division. 4 days spare still. 2 days spare still. Fuck. Nope, that's wrong too. Hang on, let me think about this for a minute. Oh no, it perfectly divides, actually. I was an idiot. 6 day weeks would actually work way better. Never mind, those American people were probably onto something, because they figured out something that I didn't figure out until just right now. So that's just an interesting story I came up with there. Do we have any other topics that we can talk about here for this bonus episode? Not really. Not really. This is a failure. This bonus episode is a failure. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. Can't even talk for an hour. And I have to record another one of these tomorrow for Sunday. I wasted one of my best jackets on this train wreck of an episode. I really want someone in the comments to be like, no, it was great, And then, like, in a way, for a second, that'll make me feel better. Like, yeah, it was great. And I'll remember that they're lying. They're just trying to make me feel better. That I really wasn't good enough. That I let them down. That I let all of you down. All of you non-existent listeners, I let you down. And that breaks my heart. Remember when I brought up Andrew Tate? Remember when I brought up Kanye? What was I thinking? I'll never be a good comedian. That's fine. But I'll never be a good podcast host either. And that's what really bothers me. Because podcasting is pretty easy in theory, innit? Just be interesting for an hour. I haven't even done that. I'm almost 50 minutes in. What's mad is I'm trying to hit the 50-minute mark. And usually, like there have been episodes of this where I've talked for more than an hour. You know what I mean? But no, I'm a failure. I guess, part of me thought I'll do this bonus episode. And then I'll realize that, wow, I should be doing 2 of these a week because I'm so interesting and so thoughtful and provoking. Hasn't happened. That's why I'm slouched down in this chair, I'm not feeling confident about myself. Got bad posture now, But if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm slouched down in my chair, just so you know. You can probably tell just from the way I'm carrying myself with my voice. I was thinking actually the other day, I might start recording these episodes in the morning. Because I worked a morning shift at work the other week, which I don't usually do. And my voice sounded so sexy the whole time. Just nice and grovelly, nice and deep. And I kind of thought, I haven't really had to, because of my job and because of the lifestyle I lead, waking up early hasn't been something that's been a priority for me for well over a year. And, it used to be the case that if I was waking up early, usually I'd be getting right onto a bus, I'd have it'll be like 2 hours after I wake up before I actually have to talk to anyone. And I would never really have a good morning voice. But I woke up at 7 a.m. on this particular day. By 10:30, I still had that sexual husk. And it's made me kind of reconsider my whole life dynamics, because if I sounded like that all the time, things would be going better for me. Whereas now, like, you guys have listened to these episodes, you know? You're just like, wow, episode 7 was so good and this week was such a dud. What happened to him? You know, like, I don't have confidence anymore. I don't have confidence now that I've realized how I'm not living up to my potential. Just in terms of my voice and my demeanor. I'm nothing. That's okay. No, it isn't. It's never okay. It's never okay to not live up to your potential, you know? Like, God will be disappointed in you. And that matters. You know, I know most of you probably don't believe in God because we live in the 21st century. But, I mean, is he real? Probably. Right? It'd be weird. Like, my whole thing is it would be weird if he wasn't. You know, and that's not to say that there's an afterlife, because probably not. And, you know, God help me if there is. But, like, I don't know. I feel like the universe just has a vibe of, like, you know, someone was cooking. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have a random vibe. And I know that doesn't mean, just because something has an order doesn't mean that there must be an orderer. You know, I know the philosophy, but I just feel it in my gut that there's probably a God. And I know a lot of you probably feel in your gut that there probably isn't, but my gut's better than yours. So why would I listen to you? Oh, I had such high hopes for this bonus. Now I'm just wallowing. I'm just wallowing about how bad the bonus episode is. Look, I'd take it or leave it, innit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to record this, you know? No one's going to listen to it anyway. You know what I mean? Not for another 15, 20 years, probably. And when they look back at this, they won't even remember what the controversy around Kanye was, or even who Andrew Tate was. Like, that stuff will all be a bad dream, you know? So it'll be fine. I've gotten away with it, lads. I've gotten away with murder here today. You know, I've phoned it in, and I've made a name for myself. Right, how come all the other... Now, you see, because last week I went in with... or on Sunday I went in with no plan, and I got it all. I guess just nothing really happened to me this week, and there was no prompts for me to... oh, here's something that happened. Oh my god. Okay, I'll tell you this. That, you know, I actually realized the ending of this story is that it doesn't have an ending, but it's just a fact I observed. No, fuck it. Is it like a 2-minute story? It's not that interesting. It paints me in a bad light to end the podcast on, because it's quite judgmental. And it's repetitive of a topic we've talked about in the past. So will I say it? Yeah, right. I was out on the Sunday before Paddy's. No, it was the Saturday. It was the Saturday. It was 2 days before Paddy's Day. And I was in one of the bars in Cork, right? It was early on in the night. It was like, let's say 10. And I walked past. I didn't say hi to her, because you know when you know someone from the past but you never liked them, and the day that they exited your life was one of the greatest reliefs you've ever felt. You know when you'll never have to see someone again, and just like the burden is lifted off your shoulders, like, oh, thank God. I knew this girl from one of my old jobs, and she was annoying, and everyone knew it. No one liked her. And, you know, she had a lot of opinions about things, but then, you know, her actions and her opinions didn't line up. You know what I mean? She was quite judgmental, even though, you know, don't throw stones in a glass house, in it. One of these ones, you know what I mean? You know, like, a lot to judge, but, you know, not a lot of self-reflection going on. You know what I mean? You know, not a great person, right? And I'm just setting up that that's my opinion of this person, because I'm about to just say some horrible stuff about But she'll never know. None of you will know who she is. This is just for me to vent emotion. And is it unbecoming of a man, of a gentleman, to say these types of things? Yes. To the public, of all people, yes. But, well, this wouldn't be funny if I was just here being polite all the time, would it? So, the natural light has diminished as well over the course of the episode. I better wrap this up soon. No, I don't need to wrap it up soon. I can wrap it up whenever I want. I really want to hit the hour, to be honest. Just out of pride more than anything. So I was walking into a bar earlier the night in the city, and I saw this woman outside with a guy. They were lipsing, you know what I mean? And now she's not an attractive woman. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with not being traditionally physically attractive. You know, God knows I'm not. She wasn't an attractive woman back then or now. And that's not important to the story, but it does just indicate that emotionally, when I saw this, it made me feel sick to my stomach. That's all it gets across, right? Because, you know, like, I mean, if you're a deeply unpleasant person and you're gorgeous, that's one thing. But if you're a deeply unpleasant person and that's a whole different story, because now there's no incentive for me to tolerate your antics, right? So she was lipsing this guy, and the whole thing just made me very uncomfortable because I was looking at it, you know when you see a car crash and you can't look away. It's that kind of vibe, you know? Like, when you like walk past like a Chinese restaurant and like just the smell is just, I'm just gonna give up on that sentence, to be honest. You know, I didn't know where I was going with it. I didn't know what the point was. It was just gonna be a reiteration of the last point, but less funny. Cut me some slack here today. You know, like, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to do a bonus episode. Next episode, episode 9 will be good. I promise. Episode 9 will be good. I'm having fun in a way. No, I'm not. But yeah, anyway, it was disgusting, right? But luckily, you know, what was great about it was as vile as the whole thing looked, because she's not a pleasant person. She's not, you know, very pretty. And then the gentleman she was with, he did not have the most appealing characteristics either. Why am I even telling this story? Yeah. It's not to paint me as a judgmental prick, which I am. It's to get to the second point. So, but luckily, like, because she was lipsing him, I was like, oh, her eyes are closed. I don't have to talk to her. Bop into the pub. Later on, she comes into the pub to use the bathroom. She sees me. She starts talking to me. You know, not happy. Not happy to be talking to her, right? Do a little catch up. You know, I'm pleasant. You know, I'm not, some will call me fake. I think I'm just being nice. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go like, oh, hi, it's so good to see you. She said that to me. And then I said, oh, I haven't seen you in ages. You know, not reciprocating the comment, but not implying the opposite either. So, you know, good guy, actually. Good guy. You know, despite my feelings on this, despite my feelings of grotesqueness towards this whole situation, I'm doing my best as a citizen. You know, I'm maintaining the social contract, you know. So that is the one redeeming thing about me in this story, since so far, all I've done is shown that I'm a vain, judgmental, self-centered ass. An ass. Not an arse, but an ass. That's all I am, right? But anyway, chit-chat to her for much longer than I would have liked to. Finally make an excuse to part ways, move on. Later that night, now we've bear hopped. We've bear hopped a couple of times, you know what I mean? Not a couple of times, once. But now we're in the city centre. It's late. We're at a lake bar, right? I'm leaving the lake bar. You know, it's like 2 a.m., right? I'm walking up the street. I'm hunting for a cab to get home. And I walk around this corner and I see a guy and a girl up against a wall. It's her again. Ew. But, and here's the crux of the story, different guy. Less attractive even. but different guy. And like I know what you're all gonna say. I know what the women listeners are gonna say. You know, so no, I should have said the lady listeners. That's less misogynistic. I'm respectful. You know, I know what you're gonna say. You know, and I agree with you. You know, like who am I to judge her? You know what I mean? Who, like, you know, she's a free young woman. She's allowed to have her fun, and I agree with that. But keep in mind, I don't like this person, so that means I hold them to a different moral standards than I would hold most people. And is that right? No, but that's what I'm doing. So, but. And I know. It's bad to shame women for these types of things. I know that it's wrong, but come on, just give me this one, girls. You know what I mean? Like she's not a nice person. You know, I know that there's malintent in her heart. So when I saw her with another guy, I felt like being judgmental was allowed. You know, it was allowed on this occasion. You know, I'd earned it, right? And I wanted to be judgmental, but then I realized all of the people I know who know this woman, I don't really talk to them anymore. And neither does she. So I can't really just contact them and be like, hey, just saw your one getting with two fellas. Like that's bang out of order, really. Like that would be inappropriate, you know? Like that, and you know, like I mean, you know me, love a bit of gossip, you know? But like that's kind of outside the realm of what I'd find to be acceptable. The lighting's getting weird because the natural light is diminishing. Oh no. There we go. We're about to finish up anyway. Which means, and the reason that the point of this story overall is that this episode, it just hasn't been great. It's getting uploaded. Whoa, weird shiny thing on the mic there. Oh, I think it went red because I talked into it too loud. Fuck. This is a disaster, lads. This is actually, why are you letting me continue to talk? Is because I didn't know anyone who knew her anymore. Like, that's just good gossip. Like, that would be juicy gossip in the workplace, but there's just no one to tell it to. There's just no one to tell it to anymore, which is just kind of like, and that's the whole tragedy of this. That's the whole thing I wanted to get to. That's the whole point of the story, is that sometimes you gossip and you've no one to share it with, and now it's just like, it's a wasted resource, you know? And it's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. So this is over now. This episode, and I'm sorry I disparaged that woman. That was a bit disrespectful of me, you know. And that's not the type of guy I'm trying to be in the end in life, you know. I'm trying to be a good person, you know. But you know, sometimes I'm weak. I'm trying to do quality podcasts. I'm trying to get myself on the right moral path. And I'm, you know, hey, let's say I think the last 2 episodes of the podcast before this one were pretty good. So you know, I'm doing my best. I'm getting there, right? Okay. I'm sorry. But also, I was fine. Not really, but we look, you know, I gotta wrap this up now. So, you know, like, there's not always a satisfying conclusion in life. You know, sometimes things just end.